Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be heading over to O'Reilly's. I need to pick up some degreaser as well as a couple other tools for the 3000 GT. I had my dad down here this past weekend. We removed the rear turbo, we changed out the rotors, we changed the brakes. We got a lot of progress made on the car. But one thing that I want to share with you guys is my dad is an owner of a 2021 Dodge Challenger Hellcat Red Eye, and he had a chance to drive my Chevy Camaro 2SS 1LE. Now, my dad's driven my Scat Pack manual, he's driven my Bullet Mustang manual, now he's driven my Camaro in a manual. So I didn't get footage of him driving. We were greasy, we were dirty. However, I did take some really good notes on his perspectives of what he thinks of the Camaro. So if you guys are in a Challenger today, maybe thinking about buying a Camaro, this is straight from my dad. This is straight from somebody who has owned a Challenger, who drove muscle cars way back in the day, owns a GTO Judge. So I just want to bring you guys along for the ride today, share with you the perspectives on just the differences and what he felt for the car, some things he liked, some things he didn't like. Now, I will note this is my dad. I don't think he would completely shoot me straight on all the stuff he didn't like about the car, but I was able to pick out some things that he wasn't as fond of, but there was a lot more positive. So let me share with you guys this experience. Let me bring you guys along for the ride, and hopefully it can give you guys a good understanding from one owner to another and what they think of the differences between the cars. I hate to leave the Camaro outside in this weather, but I don't have a choice right now. The 3000 is on jack stands where most all 3000 GTs sit. All right, guys, so as I'm waiting for the beast to warm up here, let me share with you some of my handy dandy notes and just to be able to share with you guys some of the things that I picked up from our drive with my dad. So the first thing that I noticed, and something that he wasn't crazy about, is he felt like the front left pillar, A pillar right here, in between the mirror, you know, on the inside of the car where the windshield goes, he felt like that really obstructed his view. Now, when we finally got back and he shared that with me, I was like, well, Dad, you can move the seat up and down. I had it down. You know, my dad's about 2 inches shorter than me. Dad, if you're watching this, come on, you know you're shorter than me. Just joking with you, man. But he was able to adjust the seat height and said that was better. But that was one thing that he noticed kind of right off the bat, is he felt like this front left section right here would block him. Another thing that he noted, obviously with the 2SS, you have the mirror up here that shoots, you know, an image out the back. And he said that was really trippy for him. And I know it was for me too. I have it turned on, the 2SS trim levels, and also somebody reminded me that the 3LT has these as well as the ZL1. You have the rear view mirror that shoots out of the shark fin up top, so you actually have great visibility out the back. But he said that was really trippy, and it was for me too. I remember a couple times when I originally drove this, I kind of like jolted a little bit because you're just seeing kind of cars as they go by. We took it out by the lake down here at Utah Lake, and he was swerving it pretty good and said the car handles really well. He loved how responsive it was. He just loved how the car handled. That was something that he said over and over again. He just felt like, man, this is a car I can just rip, and he really enjoyed that. One thing that he did make comment of, and I didn't notice this until I got into my Mustang as well as the Camaro, but he said, man, this car makes the Hellcat hood feel so long. And it's true. The Challengers and Hellcats, the hoods, they go forever, and that's okay. You know, they're just different kind of cars, but that was something that he noted. So my dad's driven my 2019 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack, my 2020 Ford Mustang Bullet, and now my 2021 Camaro 2SS 1LE, all in a manual transmission. I'm going to give you his perspective, and I'm also going to give you my perspective because I've seen him shift and drive all of these cars. He said by far the Camaro from a manual transmission was the easiest to shift. One thing he noted, he loved kind of at the top of the shifter, there's kind of like a little ledge, and you can just really flip the gears back just with a couple fingers. That's something that's really nice. So he said out of all 3 cars, it was the easiest to shift. Now, I will note a couple times in the past when I drove my Challenger, that clutch is just so much more stiff and the throws are a lot longer. The hardest car that he had to drive in terms of a manual was the Challenger. I could tell after a while in the Challenger he didn't want to continue to drive that for very long, and he made comments like, man, if I was stuck in traffic, this would be bad. In the Camaro, we just kept cruising. We kept cruising. He liked that. The Mustang, he got to drive briefly. You know, obviously we had some grinding in the 2nd and 3rd gear, but he commented how awesome the Tremec was, specifically in the Camaro. And I can vouch for watching him drive all 3 cars that I would probably rank it, the Camaro easiest to drive, then the Mustang, and then the Challenger, just in terms of clutch stiffness. Another thing that he loved the auto rev match. He thought that was really cool. Obviously in the Mustang, what I like better is that the auto rev match stays on all the time. On the Camaro, you just have your 2 paddles that you flip. Another thing that he loved was the exhaust burbles. He loved, you know, just tapping on the gas and then just hearing the car just kind of backfire several times. And that was something that caught me off guard when I got in the Camaro. I really didn't realize that it would do it that much because I didn't have a chance to test drive this specific car. I got to drive an automatic and I got to hear it a little bit, but it was nothing like this. So anyways, that was something that he noted. He did say that he wishes his Hellcat was louder. You know, on that one, I don't know if I agree or if I disagree because I think they're loud. You know, my dad, I think he's getting hearing aids this week, and so that's something that he wished it was just a little bit louder, but he loved the backfires as he was driving. And honestly, the Hellcats, they can do it, but you also have the supercharger one, which is awesome. Another thing that he liked immediately when he got in the car, he loved that the door sills lit up. He thought that was really cool. He loved that technology. And another thing that he commented on, and this was one of my gripes with the Challengers, and guys, this isn't a hate on Challenger video. I think my dad was too nice to point out all the things that he didn't like with my car, but he liked that the passenger seat was powered. That was one thing in the Challenger that I struggled with, is it was manual, and when you're paying all that money for a Hellcat to have a manual seat go up, you know, just the old way, just pull up on it and kind of scoot it forward. I think Dodge just kind of cheaps out on some stuff. I'm sorry, like, why can't they have light up door sills? Why can't they have some of the technology that the Mustangs and the Camaros have? One thing I noticed watching my dad get in and out of the car, this would be a really hard car for him to, I think, drive quite a bit because it sits so much lower. You sit so far down in this car that, and I can attest to this, out of all 3, the Camaro is absolutely the hardest to try and get out of. You just sit lower, and for him, it was a little bit harder. And the way the doors kind of swing out too, it makes it really, really hard to kind of get out of the car. So I think if you're older, I think it's definitely doable. But when it comes to getting out of the car, even from someone in their 30s who's owned all 3, the Camaro by far is the biggest challenge in terms of to get out of. Another thing that he noted, that it felt really dark in here, and that's true. There's a reason I haven't tinted my windows. The car already is really dark, and tinting the windows, it would be a little bit of a challenge. You'd be like Knight Rider driving around. But I did notice him having trouble getting out of the car, and he did mention it was quite a bit darker. Another thing I noticed is with the way the Camaro is kind of set up on the interior with controls, heat, cooling, it's tricky, even for somebody who I think is very technologically inclined. The Camaro setup is different. Now, you can still find everything very easy, but I know when I first got in here, and even still to this day driving it sometimes, I'm like, oh, where is that? Or, oh, how do I adjust that? Now, it's really easy to adjust the temperature by turning the dials, but getting to different things within the climate control and other things, I can tell it would take someone a while to get used to, and that was true for me from someone who's owned all 3. Another thing that you know, he really enjoyed, he didn't get to enjoy it fully at night, but we were driving and it was getting a little bit darker. He loved the interior lighting of the car. He thought thought that was really cool. He was like, hey, change it this color, change it that color. I didn't have a chance to put it in demo mode for him, but I could tell that was something that he liked about the car. He loved the Bose sound system in here. He thought it sounded great. He did tell me that some of my adjustments on my settings could be a little bit different. And, you know, overall, I think my dad enjoyed the Camaro. I think as a father, you know, they will tell you that they're supportive of you and they like what you want. But I could tell that he really liked the Camaro. He enjoyed the heads-up display. He enjoyed how it drives. It was really easy watching him drive this car, and I can't say that is the same about some of my other cars, especially the Challenger when it comes to a manual. But overall, my dad loves his Hellcat. He enjoys it. You know, he only has a couple thousand miles on it, but they love that car. And you know, that car suits them so much better because it's more of a, hey, let's go take a long road trip car. This car I wouldn't take on a long road trip. It's doable, but the Challenger is so much more spacious, so much more comfortable from that standpoint. I could tell, you know, and I think it's this way with the Camaro, and I'll end on this. With the Camaro, you kind of get shocked a little bit when you get in them, from how you sit to all the technology, the heads-up display, you know, the raised instrument cluster. I think this is the thing with Camaros that a lot of times people don't get, and I think this is where a lot of people make their mistake. In my opinion, in order to properly judge the Camaro, you need at least 40 minutes to an hour of drive time with the car, because when you get in the car, it's going to feel different, because it is different. It's vastly different than the other two manufacturers I've mentioned, just how things are set up. But once people get in, once you start driving it, and especially in the manual, you'll realize how easy this car is to drive, and visibility isn't that big of a deal. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed the comparison. Sorry I didn't get actual footage of my dad driving the car, but these are the notes that I had on his perspective from a Hellcat owner driving a Camaro. So guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. These tires are not meant for anything wet and anything colder than 50 degrees. But it's okay.